Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to show you how to crochet this super easy and stylish mesh sweater. It's beginner friendly and fully customizable so you can adjust it to fit your style. Let's get started. For this project you will need some yarn, and the amount depends on the fit you want. I went for an oversized look and used around 5 skeins of yarn, approximately 250 grams in total. I chose baby merino yarn because it's lightweight and soft, perfect for an oversized sweater while keeping it from becoming too heavy. The recommended hook size for this yarn was 3 mm, but I sized up to a 4 mm hook to create a looser and more relaxed look. In this tutorial we are going to make 4 separate panels that will be sewn together to form the sweater. 2 identical panels for the body and 2 identical panels for the sleeves. I recommend writing down your panel measurements as you go to make sure they match in size. To begin, start by making a slip knot. Then, create a foundation chain that matches the width you want your panel to be. The number of chains should be a multiple of 4 plus an additional 10 chains. For the body panels, I recommend chaining and measure it to fit from shoulder to shoulder. I wanted an oversized fit, so here's how my starting chain looked compared to my shoulders. As you can see, my starting chain is much wider than my shoulders and almost wraps around my entire body, which helps create that oversized look. Since the body panel will extend over the shoulders, you don't need to make the sleeve panel as long as your arms. For the sleeves, chain at least around the widest part of your arm to ensure the sweater won't be too tight. If you have a sweater you love the fit of, you can use it as a reference. Simply place your starting chain over it and adjust the length as needed. For the sleeves, remember that you'll be working 1 panel per arm, unlike the body where you have a panel on each side. So if you're using another sweater as a guide, make sure to double the width measurement to ensure it covers both the front and the back of your arm. For the body panels, my starting chain was 30 times 4, which equals 120 chains, plus 10 additional chains, resulting in a total of 130 chains. For the sleeves panels, my starting chain was 110 chains in total. In this tutorial, I'll be crocheting the panel for the sleeve. Now I'm going to add the additional 10 chains. First, I place a stitch marker in the last chain before adding the extra chains. Since I'm working on the sleeve panel, my starting chain in this tutorial is a total of 110 chains after adding the 10 extra chains. Once you've made the 10 additional chains, you will double crochet into the 10th chain from the hook, which is the chain right next to the stitch marker. Yarn over and insert your hook into the top loop of the chain. Pull the yarn through the loop you went into, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Yarn over again and pull through the last 2 loops. These 10 extra chains form a mesh pattern, creating a structure where we have 3 chains at the bottom, 3 chains on the side and 3 chains on the top. Now I'm removing the stitch marker. To continue the pattern, chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, then yarn over, skip 3 chains and make a double crochet into the 4th chain. When inserting your hook, make sure to only grab the top loop of the chain. Again, chain 3, yarn over, skip 3 chains and make a double crochet into the 4th chain. Since this is a repeating pattern, we'll continue the same steps until the end of the row. I'll go through it one more time. Chain 3, yarn over, skip 3 chains and double crochet into the 4th chain. Just keep going and I'll meet you at the end of the row. Now I'm at the end of the row and I'm just going to continue the pattern. When you have only 4 chains left, you will do the same as before. chain 3, skip 3 chains and then double crochet into the 4th and last chain. This is how your first row of the mesh pattern should look like. For this panel, I have a total of 26 mesh spaces. To start the new row, we will chain 6. The first 3 chains count as a double crochet, and the next 3 creates the top of the mesh space. So every time you start a new row, chain 6. Turn your work, yarn over and go into the mesh space from the previous row. Make a double crochet, and now you can see how it creates a new mesh space. Keep repeating by chaining 3, yarn over and then go into the next mesh space and make a double crochet. For each mesh space, you should place a double crochet inside. Just continue this pattern until you reach the end of the row, and I will meet you there to show you one more time how to start a new row. When you reach the last mesh space, do the same. Chain 3 and double crochet into the last space. This is what 2 rows of the mesh pattern should look like. To start a new row, chain 6, turn your work and make a double crochet in the first mesh space. Now that you know the pattern, just keep repeating these steps until your panel reaches your desired length. Now I have crocheted 27 rows up and still have 26 mesh spaces in width. Here you can see how the mesh pattern looks after repeating it several times. If you want to adjust the width of your panels, for example on the sleeves, you can add increases or decreases along the way. When the sleeve panel is finished, we will fold it and sew along the edge. We will make decreases and increases on both sides, so when we sew the edges together, the sleeve will have an even and gradual decrease or increase. As I mentioned, I started with 26 spaces in width, but since I added some decreases, I ended up with 20 spaces, making the sleeves more narrow at the end. I'll start by showing you how to increase. At the end of the row, chain 6, turn and place a double crochet in the first mesh space. Chain 3, double crochet in the next space and repeat once more for the next space. To create the actual increase, chain 3, but instead of moving to the next space, place the double crochet in the same space. This way, one space will now contain 2 double crochets, adding an extra space. To continue, chain 3 and make a double crochet in the next space. You can see how the increase blends smoothly into the pattern. I placed an increase at both the beginning and the end of the row, so when I reached the end, I made another increase in the third to last mesh space. This method adds 2 extra spaces per row, so after doing it once, I went from 26 to 28 spaces in width. You may need to repeat this a few times, but make sure to space out the increase rows evenly. I did mine every 5th row. For the next row, simply continue by placing 1 double crochet in each space, ensuring that the 2 new spaces are included. Here you can see how it has already become wider after just 1 row of increases. Now I'm going to show you how to decrease. I start by chaining 6 and repeating the pattern twice. When I've made a double crochet in the second space, I chain 3, but this time I skip the next mesh space and place a double crochet in the next one after that. I like to place a stitch marker where I increase or decrease, just in case I need to undo and fix something later. Continue the pattern by chaining 3 and by making a double crochet in the next space. You will also decrease at both the start and the end of the row. When you have 3 mesh spaces left, you will chain 3, skip 1 space and double crochet into the second to last space. After a decrease row, you will have 2 fewer spaces. So for example, after 1 decrease row, I now have 24 mesh spaces instead of 26. As mentioned, I crochet 4 normal rows between each increase or decrease row. Again, you will continue with a chain 6 and make a double crochet in each space, which in my case would now be 24 spaces due to the 2 increases. Just to demonstrate, I've now done another decrease row, and as you can see, the panel is already narrowing down. So now I have finished my sleeve panel, and this is how it looks. At the bottom I have 26 mesh spaces, and after the decreases I have 20 mesh spaces at the end of the sleeve. If you place the end on top of the starting edge, you can see that it has become more narrow. After the final decrease row, I made 9 normal rows. For reference, the end of my sleeve measures 15 centimeters, while the shoulder end is 20 centimeters. These measurements are taken with the panel folded, which means this is the opening width when worn. The body panels measured 47 centimeters in width and 52 centimeters in height. So now that you've finished your 4 panels, we just need to sew them together. We'll start by sewing the 2 body panels together at the top edges to form the neckline, then attach the sleeve panels to the side of the body panels, and after that we'll fold the sweater and sew along the sides of the body and the sleeves. Before sewing, I recommend pinning the front and back body panels together and trying it on. This will help you decide how wide you want your neckline to be and how far down the shoulder it falls, so you don't accidentally make the sleeves too long. I started by sewing 8 mesh spaces in from the edge, but you can adjust this depending on how wide you want your neckline. To keep track, I placed the stitch marker 8 mesh spaces in to help me count. Cut a piece of yarn and thread it onto your needle. On each panel, the row will either start with a chain 6 or a double crochet. Start by going into the 3rd chain of the starting chain or into the top of the double crochet stitch. Then continue matching and sewing the stitches together one by one until you reach your stitch marker. Once you've done one shoulder, do the same on the other side. Now I have sewn the shoulders together and you can see the neckline taking shape. Next, we're going to attach the sleeves. Make sure the side you just sewed is facing you, because that side will be on the inside of the sweater. Take one of your sleeve panels and place it in the middle of the sleeve, aligned with where the 2 body panels are joined at the shoulder. I added some stitch markers here as well to stay on track while sewing. Since my sleeve panel had 26 mesh spaces, I sewed it 13 spaces onto each body panel, so it lined up evenly. Attach some yarn and sew the sleeve to the body panel the same way we did before, stitch by stitch until the entire sleeve is connected. Repeat the same process on the other side with the second sleeve. This is how it should look when the sleeve is attached to the body panel. Finally, fold the sweater in half so it starts to take the shape of a real sweater. Make sure to fold it with the seams on the outside because we'll turn it inside out later. Attach some yarn at the bottom of the sleeve and sew all the way up, then continue through the side of the sleeve, connecting the body and sleeve panels together along the side. Also, remember to weave in all your loose ends when you're done. Now I've finished sewing the sides of the sweater. You can clearly see the seam where we stitched it together, but once you turn the sweater inside out, it bends nicely into the pattern.
And that's it. I hope this tutorial was helpful. If you enjoyed this video, please like and comment and subscribe for more crochet tutorials. Let me know in the comments if you're going to try to make this sweater or if you have any questions at all, and I'll be happy to help. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.